And I think we're live. Hello, everyone, and I'm glad to see that you joined. So, this is my first ever stream in this setup, and today we're having the Q&A session for project managers on all matters of career advancement. How to build a career, how to get promotions, how to build the strategy around your career. So everything that you can think of uh, will be covered here as much as possible. And this is my opportunity to give back to the community and provide some mentorship, direct mentorship to you. So this is a live Q&A session. So take this opportunity to ask your questions, and I'll try to answer them as much as possible. I have several questions collected from my subscribers, from my audience, but I would like to prioritize questions that come from people who are here right now with me. So if you have questions, write them in the comments and to provide some feedback, some context for me so that I can answer them correctly. All right. With that said, uh, for those of you who don't know me, maybe you have just joined or jumped here, let me quickly introduce myself so that we know each other a bit more. So, my name is Dmitry Nizhebetsky. I'm a PM mentor, project management mentor for more than 12 years already. I've helped hundreds of project managers to build their careers, to develop their skills, and become great leaders. So, I've created this YouTube channel, IT Project Managers, more than 3 years ago. Now we are about 50,000 subscribers strong. I published more than 200 videos, and now I have this very first live stream. But I'm also known for this bad boy, Practical Project Management book, which already sold, I don't know, several thousand copies. Uh, and that's basically what you need to know. I'm also a creator of Career Accelerator mentorship program. I directly help the students in small cohorts. All right. For those of you who have just joined, I'll repeat that that's a live Q&A session, and I will prioritize your questions when you're posting them live here, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. So I'm seeing already some questions here, but I'll give you time, and I'll start with the first one that I think everyone should be interested in, and this will be very useful to hear for most of you. So, one of my subscribers asked, as a project manager, should you build a career in one company? Uh, in contrast that to switching companies every year or every other year. So, what should be the main strategy? And I believe that staying in one company for many years is one of the biggest mistakes that a project manager can make. And I know I get it where it comes from. You feel like you are gaining experience. You have these development plans sometimes from your managers, from HR, and it feels like you are making progress. You get your reviews, feedbacks, you get salary raises, and so on. I totally get it. It feels very comforting. However, I would say that if that was the best strategy for a project manager to build their careers, then we wouldn't be talking here right now. Everyone would sit in their big corporations running projects for 10, 15 years and getting to directors of departments, CEOs, and so on. But you know that in real life it doesn't happen. Actually, in most companies, you don't get the recognition for your work after you stay there for many years. So the better approach from multiple perspectives is to change company, change the environment about every 2 years. Sometimes, if you can get a totally new environment inside a big corporation, that's okay as well. The idea is that you need to change people around you, you need to change the key stakeholders. You may want to change project management approach from time to time and tools that you are using. Otherwise, you stay in one environment which requires all the same skills one after another. Like you are developing just a very limited set skill that is required to perform your main responsibilities inside this organization. So basically, my recommendation is that every 2 years, every 3 years, you jump to another company, another project, and ideally you get a substantial promotion and increase in salary. I hope it makes sense. All right, let me see for a second. If I'm looking here, by the way, I'm just looking into this chart, and I want to address a few of your questions. So glad to see Gleb here. Tomasz, glad to see here. By the way, your question is on the list. Define technical versus non-technical PMs. Okay, I feel like this is a good question. Donald Logan asked. So uh, there is like no standard here. Let's clarify this once and for all. All project management roles are not standardized. If you see something in front of your project management, like technical project management manager, IT project manager, or I don't know, software development project manager, that's not standard. So when we define someone as a technical project manager, we mean that you will be dealing mostly with some IT technology. So the skill that you need is the overall understanding of how major components, major pieces of IT infrastructure work with one another. And at the same time, yeah, I'm not talking about how to set it up yourself. I'm not talking about how to build all those things together. It's your understanding of how it works. So if you need to build an IT infrastructure that calculates something out of one set of data, calculates here, then stores it in another database, you need to understand how it works. And you need to understand the pros and cons on the marketing level, on executive level, how it works together. Now, wh- additionally, you need to understand how people actually write code, how they uh, create applications if it's a software application. But there is no need to have technical skills, with several exceptions. If we look at big companies like Google, Apple, sometimes Amazon, they have their technical program managers, technical delivery managers, and so on. In this case, in case of Google, for example, they assume that you are not a project manager with technical skills. Instead, they assume that you are a software engineer with some project management and leadership skills. So, in these types of organizations, yes, you need technical skills, technical background. You need to know how to write code because You will be writing code and you will review the code of your colleagues. With that said, I say that it's an exception. And while the titles are the same, they are not in nature because in these companies, these people are often engineers, first of all, with some skills. Okay, I hope I've answered this question well. So, ITPM with just PM, same thing. I will answer this question, by the way, a bit later, how to become an IT project manager and what's the delta, what's the additional skills that you need to learn in maybe just a few minutes. Let me see what we else have. Transition from non-technical to technical. Okay, it looks like that's a very common question. So let's jump and see if I have this. Oh, yeah, that's the next question. How to switch to another industry, specifically to the IT industry if you are not in IT industry right now. So let me remove this. Okay, so let's set that foundation, the basis, the project management skill set is almost the same. We are still using these high level concepts as life cycle. We talk about scope, cost of project, and duration. We have risk management. It all is present in the IT industry. However, there is some additional skills that are not present in all other industries. In some, yes, they are. In some, not. First of all, agile project management, or specifically frameworks, Scrum, Kanban, some other, maybe you will want to dive into them as well. But basically, you must learn Scrum and Kanban, get the certification. It's very easy to get it. There are no prerequisites. You can do it in 2 or 3 days. Additionally, you may consider if you are going into big organizations, SAFe, scaled agile framework. So this is it's the Scrum framework for big organizations, big teams. It has also additional skills and strategies to deal with lots of requirements and multiple teams working on one product. So that's one, agile project management. Second, uh, software development lifecycle. All IT projects almost follow the same life cycle. And it's assumed that by default, you know this life cycle and you know all the phases. But in addition to that, you understand the nature of work uh, in those phases. So if we are talking about UI design, what does a project manager do during UI design phase? How does he work with UI designers, architects, and business analysts? Then, if we're talking about deployment, what does it mean to deploy your product or service somewhere in the process? So that's a part that you need to understand. And in addition to that, like we're talking, okay, there is deployment. We need to understand how the products and services that we develop, how we actually create them in tangible spaces. Like, again, what does it mean to deploy something? You take your code, you compile it into your application and put it into a server or put it into the Apple Store if you develop those applications. So there is a need to understand the nature of work. How do we create deliverables in IT industry? How developers work? What does it mean to write a piece of code? What does it take to write a piece of code? How do we collect requirements? Because that's, I think, a bit also new for construction project managers, for example, or any other industry. There is no specific like differences. All right, and next we have leadership. Uh, you will be working like primarily with highly educated, highly paid people with critical thinking, and just like assigning tasks, like controlling their work, especially micromanaging, will not work. At least it will make a negative impact in the long run. So you need to learn how to motivate these people, how to build engaging environment, how to challenge them, how to give away responsibility so these people still maintain this motivation to do the work day after day. Because in essence, they like if we are talking about software engineers, they're writing code their whole life. So there should be some other aspects of that that challenge them. And I basically think that's this is the minimum delta that you need to add to any other project management role. And you need to understand that because of this delta, especially because of the agile frameworks, uh, IT projects are more structured. So it's not only about identifying deliverables, breaking them into tasks, and like executing just one step ahead. There are a lot of moving pieces that you need to keep in mind with IT specifics. And maybe one last thing that I'll mention here is that in IT industry, we often operate with concepts that you don't see, you can touch them. Maybe when you on the final phases, or you have the application on your computer, on your iPhone, then you can have a tangible result. But most of all, you will be working with concepts, with ideas, something that you as a project manager cannot test and try right away. It will somehow come up a thing a bit later. All right, I hope I answered this question enough. So the delta is IT agile project management, Scrum and Kanban, and safe, good start, software development life cycle with all the nature of work, understanding of nature of work, and leadership. Okay, let's see what we have next here. Okay, hello, hello. I have 50. Okay, years of delivery my project manager. I'm still going to transition to IT telecom domain. Could you please suggest? Mhm. All right, that's a good question. And basically, if you ask me, what would be the best strategy here? With 15 plus years of experience uh, as a delivery manager, as a project manager, you must have on your resume only achievements. So you describe your experience not as responsibilities you did on those projects. You describe yourself as person who generated additional value, who bring business to the organization, who created processes, improvements, tools inside the organization. So you're not competing with the rest of project managers just by saying that for 15 years I was fulfilling my main responsibilities as a project manager. That's not the way to go after you have so much experience. And at this point, there is like no need or no additional value to compete with your skills or specific experience or be afraid that you don't have this delta that we mentioned right now. You should be competing with the value you can generate for the organization in addition to leading specific projects. By the way, this leads me to one thing because if you are like Rohit, I would like to invite you to my upcoming workshop. For 3 days, I will be teaching you a very specific framework on how to advance your career, how to write your resume, how to build your professional development plan out of your resume, and how to get the most out of experience that you already have so that you don't need to waste money on certifications or some trainings or something else. It's totally free. And if you want to join, you can find the link in the description or scan this barcode here and reserve a seat. it will be somewhere in September, and I'll be glad to see you during this workshop. All right, with this said, let's move on. We have some more questions. Gleb, does PM participate in feasibility study and create business case? If yes, what's his responsibility? Does he need to calculate all the? Okay, let me show you this. That's more on the project management skills, but let's discuss it for the sake of mixing things up. So, does PM participate in feasibility and like this business case studies? The answer is it depends. The project manager can participate at any stage of a project. Uh, Developing business case and doing feasibility study at the initial phase, or not initiation, but before we start, before we commit to the project, will be something not common for you. Not many organizations will involve a project manager in feasibility study or business case creation because that's a business side of a project. So we define what we need from business perspective, what results we want to get. Then we go and think about what tangible results we want to generate. And that's why we start a project to generate those results. Sometimes, like we can break these rules, like I mean, organizations can break these rules and assign you to do these things right away, and you may need to calculate it. But that would be, I would guess, it will be like 1 in 100 uh, projects that you will get, or companies that you will work. So no, don't be worried about that. With that said, by the way, I would add that there is a like feasibility analysis or feasibility study. That's something that can happen before the project, but we may also do something called proof of concept. After we already initiated a project, we might have a serious assumption or risk that we want to address as quickly as possible at the start of the project. That's why we'll do a quick uh, proof of concept where we'll try to eliminate this assumption or prove this assumption true or wrong. And and usually it's in the form of quick integration of pieces or trying to create a cheap and dirty version of our product to see that the main components, the main underlying technologies work together, at least in some approximation. All right, Artem, привет з України. Hello from Ukraine, nice. We have guys from Ukraine. Okay, good at math, computer science. Okay, Gleb, I mostly answered this when we said, when we talked about skills. No, you don't need to be very good at math. You just need like basic math skills to do the summarization and multiplication. But beyond that, I don't know. I haven't heard of such a big need. All right. So what we have, familiar Monte Carlo simulation, flow metrics in general, we have a chance to use in the career. Again, very rarely, but in some industries, especially those that uh, have something to do with government project, military projects, they do like to use all that to have predictable projects. And you may need to use these complicated simulations. If we're talking about IT industry, no, most probably you will never use anything like. All right, now let's see what we have here. All right, I think I will address another question from my subscribers now. They'll give you a chance to submit your questions. Again, this is a live Q&A session for project managers on all topics career development. If you want to become a project manager, if you want to advance your career as a project manager, post your questions in the chat or in comments wherever you watch this live stream. Okay, so what else? Oh, That's funny that no one asks about certifications here, but that's one of the most common questions that I get. Do I need PMI, PMP certification, Prince2 certifications, or any other benefits, or what benefits of the certification? So I want you to think logically about any kind of certification. So you go to the certification program, you learn a lot of stuff, and for example, in case of PMP, you get a certification. So how can you use it? Well, from one side, you will slam the title into your resume. You will put it on the top, and maybe you will have another dedicated session at the bottom which says you're PMP certified. Now, you will learn a lot of skills, theoretical skills, from the certification itself because to pass the exam, you'll have to memorize a lot of processes, tools, and how they work, and the whole idea. But in most cases, the environment that you work in will not support these skills. Yes, you will have this broad set of skills and knowledge, but you will not use them. So over time, they will become obsolete. From time to time, about 20% of that knowledge and skills you will get uh, as tools, processes, templates, ideas that you will implement on your current project to solve a very specific problem. So it seems like a great idea to get certification and get uh, recognition or develop skills based on that knowledge. At the same time, I want you to understand that in most cases, PMP just opens doors to the job openings that were closed before that. But when you cross this doorway, when you start applying for jobs that specifically say that PMP is mandatory, what happens is that it feels like, oh, okay, I've learned a lot, I can get any project. But in the end, you start competing with more experienced project managers with the same certification and maybe even more years of experience in total. So does it provide the benefit of getting better job, easier job search for you? No. Does it open new opportunities? Definitely. But it won't be easier to get those job offers from that companies because competition is also higher there. So what's the main benefit for PMP certification? And by the way, I'm curious, how many of you uh, have any kind of certification on this level, PMP or Prince2? Can please type it in the chat. While so, what's the biggest benefit? I would say that the PMP certification, or I mean, like not the entry level, any non-entry level certification, is a great boost for your career at certain points where you need to jump from mid-level to a senior project manager. That's most probably the most common use case. So you get your experience, you get 3 to 5 years of experience, you get the certification, you stack it up on the resume, then you go to the market and try to get again substantially higher salary and a bit better job. On its own, that's definitely all the benefits. And by the way, there is a very funny statistics that the amount of people who maintain PMP certification for more than 2 years is dramatically low. So what happens? You get a certification, then you maintain it for 1 year. You do all this stuff to maintain it, to learn more skills and report those skills to PM. But after the first year, like something like 15 to 17% of project managers remain continue obtaining the certification. That's exactly what's happening. They got their promotion after that certification doesn't provide much benefit. And this additional learning, future development sounds great. It pushes you somewhere, but uh, it's all about keeping you paying PMI for the membership. That's all to it. What about other certifications? I think, like, again, if you talk about IT, so certifications like Scrum Master or Safe certification are good to have, or in most cases, like must have. Certifications like Prince 2, keep in mind they are mostly popular in the UK, so you should carefully check if the area where you work actually recognizes more PMP or Prince 2. Uh, Something like Six Sigma belts or stuff like that, it's very niche. And again, I recommend that you get those certification only when you know that you will dedicate the next few years of your career in space and you will somehow benefit from it. And just to wrap it up, this ramble about certifications, I want you to always think about certifications, courses, uh, programs that you have as an investment. So if you invest $1,000, for example, into PMP certification, what's your strategy to get the return on that investment? When should you expect that your salary will go much higher so that you get back that thousand plus time and effort, and then you go to the profit side of it? All right, good. Let's see what we have in chat. Something new. All right. He's already registered for the workshop. Oh, by the way, for those who just joined, I invite you to join me on the upcoming workshop where I'll be teaching you a little deeper all the stuff that I learned during my 12 years of career as a mentor on how to build a successful career of a project manager. Right? Resume, how to develop your most efficient professional development plan. And by the way, I'll give you one for your next 80 days. All you need to do is to register for this workshop either by scanning this barcode in the corner from your phone or going into the description and finding the link there. Okay? All right. So let me see which new questions we have here. Does one need to learn all the project management tools? All right, that's a great question, Donald. Thanks. Uh, so my philosophy here is that you need to learn one or maybe two of them. Like I would choose something like Jira and maybe Microsoft Project or its alternative. After that, all other tools will be the same. They all have the same ideas, the same UI, the same capabilities. They copy from each other. Just they try to position themselves as something different. So why Jira? Jira was on the market like from dinosaur era. They have so many capabilities, and most competitors somehow uh, copied what they have. And if you learn Jira, you will know how to use any uh, agile project management tool, which uses the Scrum board, or Kanban board as the base. But if you learn Jira, you will also need to learn Jira query language, which allows you to query all the items and build from those queries a lot of dashboards, graphics, and so on. So on. If you cover that, after Jira, every tool will be just a simple alternative with some whistles and bells. That's all. If you learn something like Microsoft Project or Merlin Project for Mac, or if we talk about web, I would say Vrike is a good option to start. It's a plan-driven tool from the essence, and you will learn how to create project schedules, how to integrate all this information into deliverables, tasks, and build the work breakdown structure, and so on. What I want you to understand that clicking the buttons or familiarizing yourself with UI is not important because every tool that you will find on the market has a free tutorial, free videos, free articles on how to use it. And there is support, forums where you can ask any kind of question. That's why more critical to understand how to apply project management principles and concepts in any of those tools. So, just to give you an example, if you open Microsoft Project, whatever, like any tool, you will see on the left side a list of tasks. And most project managers make a mistake that it's a list of tasks, so we just do the list, maybe hierarchical list, and so but in essence, you need to understand this left side where you have task. It's nothing else as work breakdown structure. So there should be deliverables there and work packages. And only then you break down them into tasks and activities. And you create Gantt chart after you do all the breakdown first, then estimation, then linking the task or defining the sequence of tasks in that tool and building the Gantt chart. Somewhere in the middle, you have to manage your risks. To, uh, if we talk about Jira and ClickUp, Asana, and other task management system or agile, then once you learn one of them, there is nothing new. All the rest of them. That's why my recommendation focus on understanding what you see in the application, what concept is designed in the UI, in these tools that you have in those apps. Excel, by the way, Excel is a different beast. You will not get rid of it in the nearest 100 years. So yes, I would recommend that you learn Excel at least at an advanced level, so you can do some more fancier stuff. Right? So we got that. What is the best scenario to explain in interview about project managers' decision making? There might be, it's a good question, by the way. There might be a lot of aspects and nuances depending on where we're starting. Uh, Let me put it this way. There are just a few decisions that a project manager should make themselves, like solo decisions. And they are usually related to project management approach, leadership approach, and how to structure the work or whom to hire. That's basically the decisions that you can potentially make yourself. But beyond that, our role as a project managers is to encourage collaboration between different stakeholders so that we can collect the information that we will provide to our key stakeholders, project owners, those customers that started the project and funded the project. We provide them all this information, maybe some options that we see as best options, like option A, option B, with pros and cons. And then we together we discuss those options and we make a decision together. Ideally, you want to make your project owners make an educated decision on every aspect of the project that you lead. With that said, there are definitely some exceptions. So, for example, you need to make a decision of what project management approach to take, whether it's like plan driven or agile framework. So in this case, well, actually there is already a step-by-step decision-making process because if you analyze what are the pros and cons of both approaches, you will quickly learn, okay, we can collect all the requirements from the get-go, we can describe them, we can do all the work by the book, breaking down the tasks into breaking down the requirements into deliverables, tasks, and mapping it out on a Gantt chart, assigning resources. The utilization of resources will be much higher than in an agile framework. But if at the start of the project we don't have requirements will change or can change in the process. In this case, of course, it's much better to go with an agile framework. Yes, we most probably will lose some productivity and efficiency, but we'll be able to adapt to the needs of the project. That's why this is a case when you just need to try it, or if you don't know it from like from scratch, you so to make a decision, you go to stakeholders, you go to consultants, go to the internet, and you collect information. Ideally, you do the same, you follow the same process. You collected information, plus you added the context of your project, and find a project management mentor, find a colleague or a senior project manager, consult with them, make an educated decision together. The only difference is that that person will not share responsibility with you. That will be your decision. Okay. Let me know if that answers your question, and if you have any follow-up questions, I'll be glad to try to expand on that. All right. Let's see. What was your path to project management? Okay, Gleb. Uh, story time. So, uh, by education, I'm a sailor. I was to become a captain of liquid gas tankers, but unfortunately, I had health issues, and after I graduated from Maritime Academy, I had to switch my careers. I was young and I didn't know where to go, so my good friend recommended to try IT industry. So I got a job as a technical support engineer. I was writing emails. As you can imagine, that was quite a boring job. Like after 6 months, I got so bored writing emails that I started to look for something to do. And I quickly saw that I was frustrated by the way that the workflow that we had in the company to write those emails because like we had to write emails, we had to proofread them so they are perfect. They should be approved by some other guy. So every email took like many hours of work and a lot of communication and frustration. And back then I decided, okay, let me try to do a small project here, and I did the analysis. I analyzed a lot of these emails, like thousands of them, grouped them, and identified that, wow, we are writing like 95% of all emails. They fall into just 10 to like 15 typical groups, and the answers are the same. So I decided, okay, I will write templates, I'll pre-approve them, I will work with my boss to say, okay, this is a template, but don't spend all those hours to proofread it, and I will just send it. So, like in 2 months, I did all this work, and I understood that, okay, I like this, I like to organize the work because my peers help me a bit with this work. I like to communicate with people and so on. So I started looking for leadership roles in the same space. But luckily, my employer said, "Okay, we won't let you go. Try to be a project manager here." That's how I became a project manager. And then, like it was exponential growth right away. I started with small projects for mobile devices for Apple products. We did work with people, with customers from educational space and from uh, accessibility space. And if you watched, I think any VVDC by Apple, any time, you will probably see one of the applications that we developed back then, because accessibility is on the rise right now, especially in the iPhone space. So, yeah, during 5 years, we created a lot of new apps. Lots of them were promoted by Apple during those years. And after that, I decided I need to grow more and stop running these small projects because, again, I became bored. Projects all the same, clients all the same, nothing new under the sun. So I decided to move on and jumped into web development as a senior project manager and started working with a big enterprise. And that was a different story. I grew from senior project delivery manager to program manager. After that, I mostly focused on the ITPM school, and this is how I got to this live stream. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Thanks for asking. All right, joking. When I do resume, can it be good? So yeah, that's a good question. When I do my resume, can it be good if I haven't had project management position but other jobs? What I mean is, with that is shaping the content and highlight skills which are helpful in PM. The answer is that's the only way as for me. So what you need to do is to take all your previous unrelated experience and reframe it into something valuable for the work of a project manager. So you need to remember things like I just described. Maybe you improved something. Maybe you introduced some new tool. Maybe you organized the work of people. So we're looking into experiences that display your leadership skills, that display your organizational skills, administration skills, and communication skills. That's basically four buckets that you need to focus on. And rather than talking about your responsibilities that are unrelated to a project manager, all that experience that you had in other positions, you need to find what resembles a project, very small project, tiny projects will do, and describe them as experience of running micro projects. If you cannot find anything right now, what you can do is actually find opportunities to create these experiences, like I did at the start of my career. No one asked me to do initiative. No one asked me to do the improvement around it like a project. But the benefit that you have right now, you can take a book on project management like this one, learn the project management at least at the basic level, understand the concept terminology, and then try to describe your existing experience. But likewise, you can try to generate some opportunities, some initiatives to improve and run them as projects. This experience will count as relevant or at least related experience for a PM position. And believe me, there are so many job opportunities for like entry-level project managers where you will lead one to maybe five people on a project, and that's all with some communication with customers. These types of projects don't require any serious project management skills. Your most required skill will be communication. If you know the theory of project management, if you know how to motivate people, how leadership works, that will be just a big benefit. But beyond that, to start a career of a project manager, you definitely can reuse your existing experience. Just formulate it as something related to a project manager. All right, I see a lot of questions. That's great. So, will you recommend to do freelancing IT projects to gain practical experience? Uh, yes, why not? Any experience will do. The ultimate goal is to ethically, without lying, without exaggerating, put something on your resume that will position you or will display that you have the required skills. In all cases, I recommend that you start by learning at least basic of project management. Every employee at entry level thinks that you must dedicate some effort to the fundamentals of project management. So if you can learn the project management at a basic level, you can go out and find a freelancing job. Why not? You will be honest about it. You will say that it was freelancing and it was a valid experience. But in these cases, like and for like any in any case, I want you to be mindful about what experience you gain because most people they just coast along with their careers. They do what employers ask them to do, and they gain this experience naturally that comes their way. And like you can spend years at one job and then at the end of the day you will have nothing to put on your resume because all you did run meetings, write emails, and I don't know, doing some generic stuff that project managers do. Instead, you should be very mindful to create opportunities to gain the experience that you lack, to gain the skill, develop skills that you lack and you want to put on resume, and you create for yourself these opportunities to develop those skills and experiences. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So, Ihar Dia. Hi, Igor. Glad to see you. So, do you have a membership so I can have you as my mentor? Are you personally helping to get the next level? Mhm. Okay. Okay, thanks for this great question. So, yes, I do have my mentorship program. It's called Career Accelerator program for project managers. I focus specifically on IT industry, and the goal is to help you build a successful career to senior level positions so that you get this recognition and fulfillment that we all dream about at the start of the career instead of running these small unimportant projects. And yeah, this program includes me as a mentor. We work in small cohorts where I support you on every step of the process. And we create a new resume. We're trying to squeeze every bit of achievements that you have in your experience. We then define your professional development plan, and inside the program, you also have my IT project management mastery course. Uh, this program, as I said, I work in cohorts, so the enrollment is currently closed, and it will open somewhere in September. That's why, if you want to get notified about it, I will recommend that you reserve a seat for the workshop that will happen at the end of September. Because I will be diving a lot deeper and more specifically into almost all the questions that we discussed here. And during 3 days, I will give you the whole framework on how to build a career from your current role. And the good thing about this workshop is that you will learn this framework, you will spend some hours with me, but you will benefit from this workshop for the rest of your career. And I don't know, the best thing about it, it's free. You just need to register, reserve your seat, and join me live during the workshop. So you can find a link in the description or you can scan this barcode in the comment. All right, let's move on. Thanks, Igor, for your great question. Okay, Gleb, what's the difference between terms of reference and scope of work? Well, okay. Uh, I don't, well, at the top of my head, I don't remember what's the term of reference is. Not the document I ever created in my career. If it relates to scope of work, then something an addition to the contract for the project. And usually we create scope of work uh, somewhere during the signing of a contract with the customer. So the contract will dictate all the ways the two organizations will work together from business perspective. What are the payment terms? What are the NDAs and stuff like that? And scope of work will say more specifically what we will produce as the result of this project. I would say, like even more that scope of work is usually is a document when you have a project under the fixed price contract. So this is a way to communicate all the scope required in this project. And when you have a fixed cost, you need to assess whether you can deliver that scope with the resources that you again, I just named a lot of terms and contract types. It's a bit more sophisticated. I would say you shouldn't be worried about it. You definitely need to research this terminology. Most probably they are just the same thing to some degree. But if you ever get into an organization which requires you to participate in these activities like creating a scope of work, uh, and terms of reference, they should have a template. They should have guidelines or and examples on how to do it. And you'll just your goal is just to find those templates, find the uh, project manager from that organization who will explain how they do it. By the way, the only thing I want to say that you need to uh, differentiate between scope of work and statement of work. Because scope of work, SOW, usually we reference it as an amendment to the contract. Statement of work is something that, again, in PMI, PMP certification, you will learn. It's a document that you create already when you are in the project. You usually need this document when customers or your team or stakeholders don't have a clear understanding of the project scope at the beginning of the project. So what it means is that during, like at the start of the project, you identify what we are going to do on a high level and capture it in project chart. But at that level, you don't still know what it would take, what tangible pieces we need to create, how. So you do some collection of requirements, business analysis, and stuff like that. You basically collect high-level requirements first, and based on that, you identify what tangible outcomes you will produce. And after that, you write the scope statement, project scope statement. And this project scope statement will simply define the scope of the project. I hope it makes sense. I have a video on scope management, so I encourage you, Gleb, to find it on my channel and watch the scope management framework. Okay, let's move on, guys. Like the vibe here. I really hope I we can do this more often. Tell me if you want to do this next week as well. Do you need to have technical skills to be an IT project manager? I've already answered this question, uh, Ahmed. So if you can rewind to the start, it was the second question we discussed, but the answer is no, you don't need technical skills. You need technical awareness. You need to understand technology your, on the executive level, on marketing level. You just need to know how technology works, how it interacts between one piece and another. But you don't need to have technical background or technical skills. You don't write code. You don't set up infrastructure yourself. All right. What is your advice from a non-native English speaker to another? Well, it's simple. To speak better in English, to speak more in English. There is no other way around. whenever possible, you want to speak more with people, ideally with native speakers, because the problem that you will have, as I did, it's harder for us to understand, to hear what they say because they don't pronounce all the words as clearly as we do. On the other hand, like you are listening to me, I'm not a native speaker. I have a thick accent, and you still understand me. So that's the most important thing. So just learn to speak clearly and use simple words, simple sentences. Uh, that's all I can tell you. Don't be worried about it. Okay, thanks for answers. Also, motivation provided useful. Thanks, Gleb. It was useful. Let's move on. And especially since I do not have a degree in IT and computer, I have my PMP degree in project management. Do you recommend that I seek certification in IT? That's a subset of our conversation. We already talked about certifications again. I think you missed the first part, but uh, the the idea is that there are no specific IT uh, certifications that will make you or give you some understanding of how IT works. So when we talk about IT certifications, it's mostly agile certifications, Scrum, Kanban, and Safe certifications. You may take some courses on I don't know, to quickly learn the technology stacks on Amazon, for example, or Azure DevOps. They have some free and paid courses if you want. And if we're talking about IT, very IT specific, like I think ETL, IEL, it's one you need to understand. There are some differences, but mostly they're about IT service companies and how to build the IT department, not how to build custom software and custom IT infrastructure. So you may go that route if you know that you will be project manager in that area. Other than that, there are no specific IT certifications that I can recommend, uh, except my course, of course. It's based on my experience working in the IT industry. Artem, all right, what do you have here? There are some technical issues with your microphone. Okay, could you please tell me what's the problem? I just don't hear myself. It's too loud, not too loud, some noises. Please let me know. Okay, experience the same. Cool, thank you. I'll book. How much? All right. How much is the cost of your mentorship program? Uh, I will be honest. I don't know. I will define the price next launch, which will be late in September, October. For now, I really advise you to just join me for free masterclass, and most probably that will be all you need to get started. A lot of value. Just check the link in the description. You'll get all the details. All right, guys. If I sound distorted a bit, unfortunately, I can't fix it right now. Just set up. I hope it's not super bad sound. I'll try to fix it next time. Okay. So bear with me, and sorry for the technical problems. All right. Let's move on. What is your advice related to the language from a non-native English speaker? What were your difficulties learning it and applying it? Because it's a huge step. Okay, I'll tell you the truth. I was learning English since I think 6 years at tutor, but I was mostly focusing, like old school teaching where I learned all the grammar, uh, where I learned like 25 tenses and construction and stuff like that. And only during last like 5, 7 years, I actually focused more on uh, orals or and like public speaking part of language. Uh, there are no difficulties. You even on projects, even in the IT industry, in the highly tech areas, you will use plain and simple English, plain and simple sentences structures. Yes, there will be terminology, but you will use it in very simple, like two or three tenses, like past, present, and so on. That's all. So there is no stuff here. There is no complications. You need to learn to understand the people when they speak, and you need to speak clearly yourself. One advice that helped me a lot is that I listened a lot to music, like songs with subtitles. It allows you to catch how the words sound in distorted manner, because when people sing, they distort the words. That's one thing, and I basically watch all the movies, all the series in English to enhance my vocabulary, enhance my understanding, comprehension of the language. All right, guys. So, can you include statement of work on the PID? What do you mean by PID? I don't know what it means on the top of my head. Maybe if you can clarify it. All right, guys, I will go for one last question because we're beyond time already, and my mic is distorted, so I don't want to uh, put you too much stress. Maybe if there is some questions that you have, you can post them. I will collect other questions if I didn't answer them today. You can put them in the comments. You can send them my way, and so on. Collect them into this uh, presentation for the next time. I think I'll answer just one question to wrap it up. All right. I think I what what skills should I focus on to become a world-class PM? I think someone from YouTube channel asked this question. So I would say, uh, if you want to become a senior project manager, if you want to become and build your, if you want to build your career further beyond senior project management, especially right now, while you work on your small projects, while you work in rather simple environments, you need to develop one skill to perfection. You need to learn how to delegate everything on your project. Basically, you on a project should be communicating with clients or customers or project owners, depending on the structure of the company, to make them happy, to give them reports. And on the other side, you identify all the possible activities that you can delegate to your team, to other stakeholders, so that you stay on this visionary strategic level of running a project while everything is done with the hands of your team. So it sounds very cool. In practice, you will never achieve this, but you will gain so much more free time to train the skills, to jump into the project, to uh, solve some problems on the spot, because you have time, because you are not bogged down with hundreds of meetings where you have to control everything. And why it's critical is that the transition from your small project into a senior level role with a big project with multiple teams, like hundreds of stakeholders, there will be no like learning curve, and you will have zero opportunities to like ramp it up. You will be overwhelmed from day one by all the attention that you need to pay. And if you have to pay this attention yourself, if you don't know how to build the hierarchy of leadership, if you don't know how to delegate responsibilities to people so that they do it and you control, if you still participate in business analysis or requirements analysis meetings, if you still participate in technical discussions, you need to learn to delegate because later you won't have opportunities like you won't have time to do that, to develop that skill. And that's one of the most common uh, causes why aspiring senior project managers fail their first few projects because they cannot re- rearrange their skill set, their approach to project management, start leading from the top on a higher level. They are still trying to be a team member at the level of all team members participating in all project activities. All right, I think that's it from my side for today, and I will Uh, be very glad to see you next time, and maybe next time we'll focus more on project management side, like questions about project management, how to lead project, how to motivate people, anything relates to your direct line of work rather than career. So if you are interested, I will be glad to host it as well. Just as a final reminder, I will be running a free workshop where I'm going to share my framework on how to get to a senior level role as soon as possible by leveraging your existing experience, by writing a better resume and developing or creating a professional development plan. So it's a free workshop. You can register for the workshop with a link below this video or this QR code, and I'm going to share a framework that you will use to the end of your career because you will just reapply the same principles, the same step for each every new role that you aspire. And I hope to see you all there as well. So thank you so much for joining. It's been an honor that so many people joined. You asked so many great questions. I feel like it was super productive, and I really want to see you next time, next week. I wish I did uh, these live streams often and earlier.